Salam sejahtera dan selamat malam kepada para pimpinan, tuan-tuan dan puan-puan, saudara-saudari, saudara-saudari, Nandri Wanakam. 各位芙蓉的同胞们，大家晚间好。Very good evening to all of you, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to introduce some of the special guests that we have invited tonight to give their tribute to the late Saudara Karpal Singh. With us tonight is our DAP National Life Advisor, Saudara Dr. Chairman Hing, 我们的永久顾问郑敏兴医生同志 ，our former Secretary General and MP, former MP for Kota Melaka, Saudara Ke Kim Hock, 我们前秘书长霍金福同志。And we also have many representatives from the NGO who are with us tonight. Mr. Sardar Saddam Singh, representing Gurdwara Sahib Seremban. Mr. Lau Chi Bun, representing Negeri Sembilan Chinese Assembly Hall. 代表圣华堂的刘志文先生。Mr. Subramaniam Nair is a personal friend of Saudara Karpal Singh. Mr. Krishna Daruma, representing the NS Bar Committee. 代表圣州历史工会 Dr. Krishna. And of course, together with us are our DAP NS State Committee members or our elected representative. And also not forgetting our former MP for Rasa, Mr. Hu Sepang, or known as Cowboy. Can you rise to let everyone take a look of your Mr. Hu Sepang? I'm sure many 我们前亚沙区国会议员胡雪邦，我们的Cowboy 啊，80年代非常出名的 Cowboy。Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of DAP, I would like to thank every one of you for taking your time off to attend this special memorial and to pay our tribute to a great Malaysian, the late Saudara Karpal Singh. Even after 2 weeks of his passing, I'm sure many of us still feel very sad, still feel a sense of loss, because it was so tragic, it was so sudden. Despite knowing his physical disability, about 9 years ago he met an accident. He can't walk, he was in a wheelchair. But all of us in the DAP have every confidence in Saudara Karpal that he will continue to fight for Malaysia until his last breath. We thought that at least he will have another 10 years. I still remember a few years ago when he celebrated his 70th birthday in Penang. He said his most important wish is that he wants another 10 years. He said that he can contribute at least until the age of 80, because he said, Mahathir, almost 90, still can fight. Why not Karpal Singh? And in fact, I think we have no doubt that he will continue to fight if not because of the accident about 2 weeks ago. 2 days after his funeral, I wrote an article in Bahasa Malaysia with the title, Karpal Singh, the legendary Malaysia leader. Because in the funeral, I witnessed with my own eyes that tens of thousands of Malaysians came together from different races, from different religions, from different political beliefs, came together to pay tribute to Saudara Karpal Singh. Many ordinary people, ordinary Malaysians who came to Dewan Seri Pinang on that Sunday morning was crying with tears in their eyes. And I'm sure many of them might not even have met Karpal personally. But how a man can touch them, can touch the hearts of ordinary Malaysians. And that, I think, represent the values and the ideals that Saudara Karpal Singh has fought for in the past 40 years. As I said, he is a legendary Malaysia leader. Because Karpal is from the smallest minority group, the Sikh community. But despite being from the smallest minority group, he was the national chairman of the Democratic Action Party. And none of us in the DAP have ever thought that he is from the minority. All of us feel very proud that Karpal Singh represents all of us in the DAP, be it Chinese, Malay, Indians, or any other races. Because what Karpal fought for is not based on race or religion. He fought for justice, fairness, democracy, and good governance. And that ideals and belief have been his principles throughout his life. Still feel very proud that we are associated with the DAP. And the tens of thousands of Malaysians who have come together to pay tribute to him. In the past 2 weeks, we held many memorials throughout the country. And at every event, there are thousands of Malaysians in every town in Malaysia came together, just like tonight, to pay tribute to him. Not because he was a DAP leader, but he was truly a Malaysian leader, a leader who represents Malaysia. Throughout the country, he had fought for many public interest cases. I think our friends from the legal fraternity will know that Karpal is known as a lawyer who always fought for public interest cases. Whenever there was injustice, he will be there. In Sembilan, throughout his career as a lawyer and as a member of parliament, I'm sure many of us in Sembilan would have heard before that he came to Sembilan many times in many public interest cases, high-profile cases. He represented the families of the victims on a pro bono basis. And that a lot of people salute him. Even though Karpal's name, never people heard about him, people feel that he must be a very fierce person. The Tiger of Jelutong, the name Tiger of Jelutong, the name Karpal Singh itself creates fear on others, especially on Barisan Nasional people. But as a person, Saudara Karpal was always very humble, a very down-to-earth man, and a very simple man. I had the privilege to see him from near in the past few years because of my involvement in the DAP leadership as the national leader in the Central Executive Committee. In the past 1-2 years, especially leading up to the general election, and because of our problem with the Registrar of Societies, I had the privilege of meeting him many times in his office in Pudu. One particular meeting that struck me a lot, and I remember him for his humility, was a meeting sometime in April last year. That was just a few days before the nomination for the 13th general election. I remember that night, we had a mammoth ceramah in AST, Taman AST. That was before nomination. Thousands of people were there in the ceramah. Saudara Lim Kisiang was here, Saudara Lim Guan Yin was here. And immediately after the ceramah, because of there are some issues with the nomination of candidacy and so on, Kisiang decided, and Saudara Guan Yin decided to have an immediate meeting with Saudara Karpal. And I drove both of them straight to Karpal office. We reached his office almost 1 a.m., midnight. But Saudara Karpal was waiting patiently there without any complaint. A person, a towering personality, a great politician, and despite his physical disability, he had never once complained that we have to have meetings at midnights. And he will be there waiting for us. He said, no problem, whatever, whenever and wherever that we need to meet, we need to decide on certain things, we need to discuss, he will be there for us. And the late Michael is someone who was very faithful. Whenever we had meetings until midnight, Michael will wait for him patiently as well. And there's some small little thing that I always remember Michael, is that Karpal will always make sure that he will prepare some coffee for all of us in his office. And that is the little thing that I always remember Saudara Karpal, for his kindness, for his humility, and I think that is the value of a great man. Not just that being great in his profession, on the stage, but as a human being, the respect for each other, the respect for another human, despite whatever background he or she is, that shapes the personality of Saudara Karpal. I think the best memory for Saudara Karpal is that for all of us to continue his fight, to make sure that his legacy live on. And I'm sure Saudara Karpal's family will continue to do that, because he has educated and groomed all his children to continue to fight for justice. 4 out of 5 of his children are lawyers, 1 accountant. And 2 out of the 5 are politicians, full-time politicians. Jagdeep is a Penang ESCO member, and Gopin is our Member of Parliament for Puchong. And I'm sure they will continue the legacy of Saudara Karpal. And not just the family members of Saudara Karpal, but all of us in the DAP. And I'm sure there are many young Malaysians are inspired by Saudara Karpal to continue to fight, to make sure and to work for a better and a just Malaysia. That, for me, is the best memory for Saudara Karpal Singh. Allow me to say a few words in Mandarin before I wrap up, because we have many speakers for tonight. 各位福隆的同胞，非常感谢各位出席今晚我们为卡巴辛同志主办的这个追思会。我们看到今晚我们很多的民众来自不同的种族、不同的宗教，都来到这个礼堂来纪念卡巴辛同志。过去2个星期，我们在很多的地方，在吉隆坡、怡保、槟城、怡保、新山、马六甲都主办了追思会。在每一场的追思会呢，都是人山人海。在他的葬礼那一天，我看到上千上万的马来西亚同胞来给他送他最后一程。因为卡巴辛代表的价值观、代表的原则，就是 让我们每一个行动党的党员都觉得非常的骄傲。虽然他是来自一个少数民族，但是马来西亚人民当他是我们所有马来西亚人的领袖，所以我写了一篇文章说，卡巴辛是我们马来西亚人的马来西亚的领袖，因为他代表的价值观是超越种族、超越宗教。他几十年在政坛上争取的是为了一个公平合理的社会，为公正、为自由。在很多不公平的法庭的案件，他免费的代表很多的家属，争取公道，争取一个公平。所以我们怀念他，真正是为我们几十年来为我们社会付出的贡献。所以为了纪念卡巴辛同志 ，wish to welcome representing the family of Saudara Karpal Singh, Saudara Gobin. 所以我刚才说，我们最好的纪念卡巴辛，就是要永远记得他的原则，他的价值观。我们行动党新一代的领袖和党员都会继续他的斗争。那么刚才我说，我们非常肯定他的家属、他的家人、他的后代，会继续代表他的精神。他有5个孩子，4个是律师，2位已经是前线的政治领袖。他最大的儿子是我们在宾州的行政议员，国宾是第2儿子，是可以说已经是代表卡巴辛精神的国宾性，因为在国会他也是好像卡巴辛一样这么的凶。马纳吉最凶的人就是国宾性。I said, the moment you see Gobin in action in Parliament, you will think that Karpal is still in Parliament, because he is the only MP who dare to whack Najib the harshest. I remember correctly how you whacked Najib in front of his face a few years ago, and that landed him 6 months suspension from Parliament. And no joke, this guy can whack the Prime Minister in front of his face, and that is Gobin Singh. Gobin 真的在国会，他怕对他来说这个字眼不存在的。肯定的，我们行动党的人也不会怕任何人，但是国宾我要特别提的是，不是很多人能够做到这一点。在一个首相的面前，首相要跑出去的时候，他讲：“哎，路balik sini，路balik sini。”啊，他可以在他的面前这样骂他，所以我们可以说欣慰的。虽然我们失去了卡巴辛同志，但是我们还有国宾辛同志在国会。所以今天我要代表省州行动党再次的感谢各位，大家出席这个追思会，给我们卡巴辛同志的家属一个很大的支持，精神上的支持。你们的支持 肯定的就是怀念他，我们以往几十年来的贡献。Once again, I wish to thank all of you for coming together tonight to pay tribute to the late Saudara Karpal Singh. I'm sure your presence and your support will continue to give us strength and the spirit to continue the work and the struggle of Saudara Karpal Singh. Thank you very much.
Selamat sejahtera, selamat malam. Tuan-tuan dan puan-puan yang saya hormati, Tuan Pengerusi YB Lok, Life Advisor Dr. Chen, Gobind Singh, the son of the late Saudara Karpal Singh, dan tuan-tuan dan puan-puan, selamat malam. Saya bagi Diampun Perdana Cina memang mengucapkan terima kasih kerana memberi peluang ini dan mempunyai peluang ini memberi tribute kepada Saudara Karpal Singh. 各位大家晚上好。那么我仅代表升华堂呢，感谢主办当局呢，给我们这个机会呢，向我们尊敬的Karpal Singh呢敬礼。各位，那么我想Karpal Singh的这样的一个人物呢，我还记得当天早上的时候呢，我看了我的 Facebook， 再看我的 WhatsApp group 呢，我就发现到有许许多多的这Karpal Singh去世的讯息呢传开来了。我想这样的一个讯息呢，是真的是是好像是来自四面八方的。尤其是我看到面子书呢，许多都已经变成放成黑色的。所以Karpal Singh呢，的确给许许多多人呢，也是一个非常令人敬仰的一个人物了。我还记得在30年前的时候呢，林莲义先生，也就是我们的华教斗士的林莲义先生去世的时候呢，整个华社也的确为他的去世呢而感到悲哀了。那么当天出殡礼呢，也真的是万人空巷。可是当我们看到Karpal Singh的去世呢，他不单只是局限在华人社会，那么甚至各民族，来自各民族、各宗教的同胞们呢，都感到非常的伤心了。那么我也的确连我的孩子呢，他们都打电话来，都告诉我说Karpal Singh去世了，大家都感到非常非常的悲伤了。我在想呢，我虽然跟Karpal Singh呢没有任何太多的这个接触了，可是我们从报纸上呢就看到Karpal Singh的这种种的这个言谈呢，他这种言谈呢，他这种举止呢，我想也就是我们整个社会所追求的一个价值观呢，然后追求的一个我们想要的一个人物的一个行为表现，所以才会引起整个社会的这个共鸣了。那么我在想，那么除了林莲义之外呢，还有许许多多的大人物呢，在我们的国家都有去世或者是有出殡礼了。可是我想，甚至连首相，就是我们前任的首相呢去世呢，我想都没有能够这样子的感动每一个人的。所以Karpal Singh到底有什么值得我们学习的呢？所以我想，他是一个很有原则的一个人。这个也就是我们整个社会在追求的一个价值观。为什么Karpal Singh的一个有原则的一个人呢，会那么多人爱护呢？所以我想，就是因为我们许许多多的这个政治人物，还有我们的领袖们呢，也缺少了这样的一个风范，就是有原则的一个风范。还有呢，他的整个的思维呢，就是多元的， 他不是只是一个种族罢了，他也同样的关心马来同胞、印度同胞跟华人同胞了，所以他整个的思维是多元性的，是开放的。那么另外呢，我想他对整个这个回教反对这个回教刑事法呢，他的立场是非常非常坚定的，而他的这个坚定的立场呢，也真的引起整个社会的这个共鸣了。那么第四呢，他的这个帮助弱势群体，不管是个人团体都好呢，他甚至能够以义务的那种方式呢，去协助种种弱势的人呢。所以我想呢，这些呢都是使到每一个人呢对卡巴信的这样的一个人物的敬仰。他始终如一的这样的一个立场呢，是我们感到敬佩的。所以我想，他的这样的一个典范的人物呢，他身上所散发出来的这样的一个素质呢，都是我们每一个人所学习的这个榜样了。我还记得，在茅草行动的时候呢，也就是1989年茅草行动的时候呢，卡巴信也同样的为我们的华教呢站稳他的立场呢，也对整个政府呢做出严厉的这个批评了。然后最后当然他也因为这样的一个事件呢而被抓进监牢了。可是我想他的这种种的事迹呢，真的是让我们对他呢感到敬佩的。所以我想他的出兵礼呢，万人空巷的出兵礼呢，的确反映整个社会、整个国家呢对这样的一个素质领袖的一个追求。Ladies and gentlemen, I believe Mr. Karpal Singh, the late Mr. Karpal Singh, he has shown a good example to all of us. Even those we are from Chinese community, but a lot of Chinese and respected this Mr. Karpal Singh. I still remember in the morning when I opened my Facebook, I see a lot of Karpal Singh's news spread all over. And even my friend, a lot of friends call me up and inform me of the disease of Mr. Karpal Singh. It is indeed a very, very sad news to all of us. And I'm very surprised. Not only Chinese, even from the Malay community, from Indian community, and all the people, all Malaysian, they show the same feeling, the sad feelings towards the death of Mr. Karpal Singh. In the Chinese community, apart from the Chinese educationist, Mr. Lim Leng Gyok, he is the one that has won the great respect from the Chinese community. But Mr. Karpal Singh, he's not only won the respect from the Chinese community, but also from other races, from the Malay, from Indian, and from a lot. They are from different races and different religions. So I believe the most important point is Mr. Karpal Singh, he has the following quality, his own quality. That is, he's a principled man. And his open-mindedness. So he won't restrict to his own party like DAP, or he won't restrict to certain races. I believe he even criticized DAP at times. So he showed a good example of doing the right thing at the right time. And his principle is consistent. And the most important thing, at this point of time, when he stands firmly on Hukum Hudud, which is going to be brought up in Dewan Rakyat bypass. But his firm stand on this Hukum Hudud has won a lot of people's heart. And I still remember in the years of 1989, when it was Operasi Larang conducted by the government, or it is Operation Larang, which has caught many people and many Chinese educationists and the politicians. But Mr. Karpal Singh, because of Mr. Karpal Singh, he stands firmly on the Chinese. He stands firmly and protect. And he has the same stand with the Chinese educationists at the time, and he was sent to jail together with all the people. And This is what we expect him. So he, irrespective of any issue, as long as it's the right one, then he will stand firmly on it. So I hope the quality that the Karpal Singh has, it will influence all the people and all the politicians, and we hope to make a Malaysia, a good governance, and a clean Malaysia, and it respect the human right and democracy. So I would like to say a big thank you for the organizer for inviting me. Thank you.
நமச்சிவாய வாழ்க, நாதன் தாழ் வாழ்க, இமை பொழுதுமை நெஞ்சில் நீங்காதான் தாழ் வாழ்க. திருச்சிற்றம்பலம். இன்று சகோதரர் மாண்புமிகு கர்பால் சிங்குடைய இரங்கல் கூட்டத்திற்கு மலேசிய இந்து சங்கத்தை சார்பில் அடியேன் இந்த இரங்கல் கூட்டத்தில் கலந்து கொள்வதில் மிக்க மகிழ்ச்சி. இந்த ஏற்பாட்டுக்குழு தலைவர் சகோதரர் ஆந்தனி லாக் மற்றும் அனைத்து ஏற்பாட்டாளருக்கு இந்த நல்ல வேளையில் சகோதரர் கர்பால் சிங்குடைய நினைவாக இந்த இரங்கல் கூட்டத்திற்கு மலேசிய இந்து சங்கம் பொறுத்தவரையில் இது மாபெரும் இழப்பு. ஒரு நாட்டு தலைவர், அவர் ஒரு டிஏபி கட்சி தலைவர் என்று பாராமல் இந்த நாட்டுக்கு ஒரு சிறந்த வழக்கறிஞராக மக்களுக்கு போராடி நியாயத்தை கேட்கக்கூடிய தலைவராக நாம் பார்க்கின்றோம். குறிப்பாக மலேசிய இந்து சங்கம் மற்றும் சர்வசமய மன்றம், மஜ்லிஸ் அகாமா, புத்தா, கிறிஸ்டியன், Hindu, Sikh, and Tao, the consultative body of the Interreligious Council has been always observed by Saudara Karpal Singh as far as religious conversion is concerned, and also on the Hukum Hudud. Hudu சட்டத்தின் கீழ் இந்த நாட்டுடைய நிலை என்ன ஆகும் என்றது நாம் கற்பனை பண்ண பார்க்க முடியாது. காரணம், அவருடைய எந்த வகையில் எப்படி பார்த்தாலும் ஹுடூத் சட்டம் நிச்சயமாக மற்ற சமயத்தினருக்கு அது பெரும் பாதிப்பு ஏற்படும் என்றதை அவர் நீண்ட காலமாக அவர் கூறி வருகின்றார். அந்த வரிசையில் பார்க்கும்போது ஹுடூத் சட்டத்தை இஸ் அப்பான் மை டெட் பாடின்னு சொல்லக்கூடிய அளவுக்கு Sardar Karpal Singh has made it very clear that in no way that Malaysia will turn to have hudud as a law. I think he has made it very clear to each and every one of us. Malaysia Hindu Sangam is a religious body based on religion, religious tolerance and acceptance. Well, it's not just good on paper. It must be observed and practiced. We must practice what we preach. But unfortunately, this is not really happening. Most of the time, other religions are ridiculed and condemned, criticized. Families torn apart. And yet, what happens when hudud becomes a law? இப்போ உள்ள சூழ்நிலையிலேயே பார்க்கும்போது நமக்கு எவ்வளவு பாதிப்பு ஏற்படுகின்றது. ஒரு இஸ்லாமிய குடும்பத்தில் கணவன் அல்லது மனைவி இஸ்லாமிய இருந்திருந்தால் அந்த மனைவியோ கணவனோ இஸ்லாம் அல்லாதவர்கள் எந்த அளவுக்கு பாதிப்பு அடைந்திருக்கின்றார்கள் என்று நாம் பார்த்து கொண்டிருக்கின்றோம். அந்த சூழ்நிலை இருக்கும்போது என்ன ஆகும்? ஹுடூத் சட்டத்தை கொண்டு வந்தால், and that Sardar Karpal Singh made it very clear on behalf of the Majlis consultative body. I am at the National ESCO Council. Lately, we have been very deeply concerned about this. As Saudara earlier said, It will soon be tabled in the parliament. And I bet each and every one of the religious conscious MPs and the riot conscious MPs there, including those in the government, will oppose to the hudud. And that will be the tribute for our Karpal Singh. அதை எதிர்த்து இந்த நாட்டில் நம்முடைய சமயத்துக்கு, நம்முடைய சமயம் மட்டுமில்லை, மற்ற சமயத்தை இஸ்லாமிய தவிர்த்து அனைத்து சமயத்துக்கும் நியாயம், தர்மம், நீதி இருக்குமானால் இந்த சட்டத்துக்கு எந்த வகையிலுமே நாம் எனக்கு தெரியக்கூடாது. அந்த அடிப்படையில் சகோதரர் கர்பால் சிங் உடைய மகத்தான சேவை இந்த நாட்டிற்கு எக்காலத்திலும் அடையாது. The struggle and the fight against justice, injustice will prevail, and Saudara Karpal Singh, his soul will linger in each and every minds of our Malaysians to fight for justice and for good governance. For that, I salute the organizers and all the responsible and the Wakil Rayats, the Member of Parliament, and of course Mr. Gobind Singh here. Even though I am on the religious background, Saudar Gobind Singh's great service and his fearless, people like Anthony Locke, Mr. Saudar Guna, all these people are here. Even though Malaysia Hindu Sangam is an NGO, we stand by for justice in Malaysia.
When preparing for today, I came across Karpal's Facebook page. On the Facebook page, there was an entry of an interview in 2009. The writers or the reporters from Star started with a quote which is on the board of Karpal's office in Pudu. The quote is from Dean Afanji. It starts this way: I do not choose to be a common man. It is my right to be uncommon, if I can. I seek opportunity, not security. I do not wish to be a kept citizen, humble and dull by having the state look after me. I want to take the calculated risks, to dream, to build, to fail, and to succeed. I refuse to butter incentive for dole. I prefer the challenges of life to the guaranteed existence, the thrill of fulfillment to the state calm of utopia. I will not trade freedom for beneficence, nor my dignity for a handout. I will never cower before any master, nor bend to any threat. It is my heritage to stand erect, proud, unafraid, to think and act for myself, to enjoy the benefits of my creation, and to face the world boldly and say, this I have done. All this, whatever I read to you, is what I think Karpal was. He was unafraid. At times, his life was at risk. We remember the incident where he was threatened just before Parliament. As far as the legal fraternity is concerned, the Negeri Sembilan Bar broke tradition this year. They have never sent a writ to any lawyer out of Negeri. They did that for the first time for Karpal's funeral. They did not wait for the annual general meeting to have a minute of silence. The first committee meeting of the NS Bar after Karpal's death, there was the minute of silence as a respect to Karpal, the lawyer. I met Karpal in 1991. Karpal was, I think, 22 years in practice. I was 2 years in practice. I wanted to speak to him, but I felt shy. He came to me, he spoke to me, he stood while I was still seated. That was the man that he was, a humble man. Some of you all know him as the Tiger of Julutong. Yes, when it came to fighting for a cause, he was a tiger. When it came to his friends, he was a man, down to earth, respected by all members of the legal fraternity. 4 years later, we were opponents in the then Supreme Court. I was counsel for the respondents, thinking that I had a very good case. Karpal had 10 grounds of appeal. He took one ground and he teared up whatever I wanted to say. I lost the appeal. I learned 2 things that day. One, the respect that Karpal got as a lawyer. I remember the quorum was headed by Pei Siu Chin. The minute Karpal spoke, everyone listened. That was the respect he had. I'm sorry to say, sometimes, presently, that respect is less, was no longer there. There was issues of judicial independence and so forth for a lot of the political cases. But I'm not going there. My tribute is to Karpal the lawyer, one of Malaysia's most prominent lawyers, a person who fought for the poor and needy. I remember reading, when I was still schooling, about a 14-year-old child who was sentenced to death for having a firearm. Karpal rallied to obtain a pardon from the king, and he did. Did he charge any fees? None whatsoever. I remember Karpal being a speaker of truth, a speaker of the way he saw things, a speaker of what the Constitution is, not what the Constitution should be in the eyes of the majority. Karpal, as a lawyer, if you ask anyone, was cool in court. That is one key word that I will give to him. He was very cool. He'll take his point, argue the point, sit down confidently. Karpal defended the little man. He upheld the Constitution. At times, it was his innovative interpretation of the law that opened the eyes of the legal fraternity to look at it from Karpal's angle. I remember the case of PP versus Aru Prakasam, where Karpal's argument before I believe it was still Supreme Court then, before the Federal Court. Was it the Federal Court? Federal Court. Thanks, Gobin. Before the Federal Court, on what prima facie test is. He won that case, and shortly thereafter, Parliament amended the Criminal Procedure Code. If you talk about Karpal, if you do your research, you will find 1,010 reported cases. 1,010. I've only got 80. He's got 1,010 reported cases. A person's hero, a fighter for justice and truth, a fighter who fought against the odds. My colleague and partner, Mr. Indran Guru, met Karpal when he was still a chambering student. Not Karpal, my partner was a chambering student. Karpal invited him for breakfast. During the breakfast, my partner asked Karpal, I just read, yesterday you were in Penang. This morning you are in court. How do you do it? Karpal, with his normal smile, the smile that you can see here, just said, you know my secret? I clone myself. But that leads me to Karpal's clones. Gobin, you are one of them. Ram, Sangeet, Jagdev, I have the pleasure of arguing against all four at one time or another. And believe you me, they are like the Father. They are fearless. They are prepared. If any of you all have seen how Gobin cross-examined during the Cheo Beng Hop's case, you will know what I mean, and how the DPP was embarrassed. Gandhi once said, my life is my lesson. If ever there was anyone in Malaysia whose life is truly a reflection of Mahatma Gandhi's words, that my life is my lesson, that man was Karpal Singh. Finally, on behalf of the NS Bar, we offer our deepest condolences to Gobin and your family. Thank you very much.
Salam sejahtera kepada semua penghadirin, Dr. Chan Man Hen, Mr. Gobin Singh. Dan saya juga mengambil kesempatan ini untuk mengucapkan terima kasih kepada pengacara majlis untuk menjemput saya sebagai seorang kawan kepada Encik Karpal untuk memberi sepatah dua kata mengenai pengalaman saya dengan beliau. Saya mengenali Karpal pada tahun 1991. Masa itu saya di dalam pasukan polis. I was a prosecuting officer at Jalan Duta Court, a young prosecuting officer, and here comes Mr. Karpal to fight with me. So one day before the case, my colleague said, "You better be prepared. Tomorrow your opponent is Mr. Karpal." So the whole night I didn't sleep. I was reading and reading my file and expecting some kind of man with anger is going to approach me. And that next morning, I was in the court. Then Mr. Karpal came, and I was with fear looking at him. But he was so humble and came to me and say, "Good morning, young man." Then I said, "I am Subramaniam Nair, prosecuting officer." And from that day onwards, he calls me as Mr. Nair. That was the day I knew Karpal personally, that means working with him. But before that, when I was in the police, I used to read about him, and I used to always respect him. And I said, one day I'll meet this man and be his closest friend. Thereafter, I had a second chance to meet Karpal, not as a prosecuting officer, but as a lawyer. This was in 1998, when Mr. Karpal was doing a case in federal court, defending a police officer in an employment case, unlawful dismissal. And I was brought in to work with him in that case by our late Mr. Christopher Fernando. He called me up and said, "Come, since you are doing in this area," he called me to meet Mr. Karpal. And it was straight in the federal court. I was sitting beside Mr. Karpal and Mr. Christopher Fernando, and we did the case and we won. Thereafter, my relationship with Mr. Karpal grew, and there was many occasions that I was doing a similar area of law where Mr. Karpal achieved his maximum, and I always call him for assistance, for guidance, to help me, but he has never turned me down. However busy he is, he will always find some time for me and to say, come and see me in the office. And I've met him in the office. Like the other speakers who have told, the first thing he will do is, he will give a coffee. And he make you comfortable, and he discusses the thing. He's prepared, discuss the thing with you, how to go about or how to prepare the cases, especially in the appellate courts. At the same time, I had an few occasions to work with Mr. Gobind. We had one very big case in Muar High Court, and there we both were defending a case, it's a murder case, and we had tough time in the court. And it was there where I saw Mr. Gobind, the junior tiger of Julutong, where there was some heated argument in the court where he has the guts to really tell off the judge. So from there on, we became close friends, and many occasions I had chances to meet with Mr. Karpal. Thereafter, Mr. Karpal personally invited me to Mr. Gobin's wedding in Penang, and also for his 70th birthday in Penang, which I took part. Now let me tell few good things what Mr. Karpal told, which may be very useful for the young lawyers, of his principle, of his guidance. In one occasion, when I met him in the federal court, I asked him this question: Mr. Karpal, a death penalty case, when you lose a death penalty case, how do you take it? He said, young man, Mr. Nair, when you lose a case, don't worry about it, forget about it today, go back and concentrate about the case tomorrow. If you start worrying today, you will never do your best in the case you are going to do tomorrow. That was the kind of courage he has given. Another thing he has told me, which is also useful for young lawyers, is no matter whatever it takes, whether your client pays or can afford to pay you, if you think something is not right, if the judge has decided wrongly, and if the client cannot afford to you until the federal court, you must take it up. You must take it up until the federal court. That was the guidance he gave. Just before Mr. Karpal met in an accident, 14th April was the new year for the Hindu calendar, Vaisakhi, and for the Malayalis, Vishu. Mr. Karpal through his assistant, Michael Selvam, sent me a message on the 14th April, and I wish to share that message with all of you all. This was the message which is from my handphone. Every little smile can touch somebody's heart. No one is born happy, but all of us are born with ability to create happiness. Love you all. That was the last message I got from Mr. Karpal before his departure. I miss him so much as a friend, as a guru, as a teacher, as a mentor in my career. And my tribute to Mr. Karpal is, I will, together with the family, Mr. Gobin will join the fight for justice in this country. And before I end my speech, I remember the teaching of Mr. Karpal to me when I visited India. When I go to other countries, I used to go and see how the other courts operate. It was in Cochin, in one court. Before I took the steps to go to the first floor, there is Mahatma Gandhi's statue there. Below there it was written, there is a higher court than the court of justice. That is court of conscience. That was what exactly Mr. Karpal taught me. Thank you.
Good evening, honored guests. Wow, this is high. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, Gobind, this is hard. I wrote this on the day your father passed away. I work at Columbia Asia Hospital. I was on the night shift, and I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning to see a patient. And that's when I got the news from my nurses, and I thought it was a joke. But it wasn't, sadly. And hence I wrote this because I used to work in Penang in the early 2002. And that's the last 10 years or so I've got to know your family very well. And since my parents were here and I worked in Penang, your parents became my papa and mummy. And despite the circumstances, I'm glad that we got to meet today. I know all your siblings very well, especially Ram and Sangeet, who I'm in touch with by phone and Facebook, of course. This is written as a tribute of love and respect for the great Karpal Singh. Ode to a Samaritan. The day dawned clear and bright, the morning dew being filtered by rays of sunlight. But a nagging feeling persisted throughout the day, refusing to budge or simply just go away. Then came the shattering news, like the strike of a thunderbolt, leaving us shocked and speechless, feeling so totally lost. The tears of grief kept flowing, our hearts bleeding in sorrow, unable to believe that we will never, ever meet again tomorrow. As realization set in and we contemplated at fate, we still can't quite accept the fact that you are gone. The pain is too great. Your healing touch, sense of humor, and gentle smile made everyone's troubles disappear, even for just a while. Never a person to let the worst situation get you down. You brought life, happiness, and laughter to all those around. Your words of wisdom, your courage, and determination will always be treasured like gold, as will be your dedication. The depth of this enormous loss and sadness only we can comprehend. For this is not farewell, but a tribute to you, our mentor, our father, and our dearest loving friend. Thank you. And with this note, on behalf of my family and I, we offer our love and our deepest condolences to you and your family, Gobind, at this very difficult time. Thank you.
Secretary Progressi, the Chairman, 主席，今晚的大会，我要感谢大家参加这个会议，来尊敬我们的英雄Karpal Singh. I want to thank all of you for coming tonight to be present at this meeting, to remember Karpal Singh, our hero, who has done a lot for the country. As the chairman of the party, I think I would not like to say all the things that you have said about Karpal Singh, all the good things. There's no use for me to repeat them. But I would like to point out that Karpal represented a group of people who right from the start came out to fight for the causes that you believe in. They believe, this is the belief that what the people are excited about, that this country will change. And also that they're happy that Karpal is one of the greatest fighters for the cause of DAP. That is what they're happy about. Karpal represents your hopes, your wishes, your desires for this country. And he was there on the spot to help push this big movement along so that there will be a change in this country. So Karpal sacrificed a lot for this. Christian, of course, did. Guan Yin did. And those who have gone, Ipatu, Chan Ko Wah, Chan Ko Kit, Chan Yin Kai, Yap, and our great friend Fan Yu Ting. These are the same heroes, but they left before him. He continued the fight and made it even more specific, more vital. And because of him and others, the opposition with Anwar's party and PAS, we have won 52% of the votes. We formed the majority. We should be the government. That's what you all want. We should be. But you know, they fixed the electoral rule. So that small constituencies in the rules having 10,000 voters, one seat. Places Ramban, 100,000 votes, one seat. Our places, 180,000 get one seat. That's how they fix it up. They call it gerrymandering. Now you are here, people will come out to support Karpal, to weep over his death, to tell the people that the people want a change and they want you out by next year. This is the message I gave to the government. Yeah, we praise him, Karpal, yes, very good. But behind this, the people want to let the people know that they want a change. And we make sure that they want to change. So, to ensure that, what must you do? Remember Karpal. Remember him for what he has done, his deeds, his courage, his valor, his bravery, his brains. So all young people must follow him. You want to change, you want a better world for your children, you have to follow Karpal. You must be one of the army of Karpals in this country. 10,000, 100,000, 1 million. You do that, then your efforts will be rewarded. That's why we are gathered here tonight. Not just to praise Karpal, but to praise what he did, his role to help you do something, get something good for your children. That's what you want anyway. Huh? But when you want these things, don't we? We do. What do you want? Malaysia, yes or no? Okay. Thank you very much. I don't want to talk very much. I should not be here, but because Karpal is the man we are here tonight, I have to come. I've dislocated my toes, running. In spite of that, I still run. I still come here to show a respect for Karpal and for what he has done for this country. He has sacrificed. You know how much sacrifice? That's a bit of what you should know. In 2005, Karpal came back in a taxi to his house. The taxi stopped. The hot car stopped in front of the house. And some chap from somewhere else came behind and knocked his car, and Karpal had a bad injury to his spine. Can't walk, can't lift his neck up. That could be the end of Karpal, for all it is done. But no, he took the trouble to recuperate and to have a surgery done, not here in Singapore. Why? Because the people, the surgeons here, dare not touch him. They're scared. So they had to bring him to Singapore and they repaired him, and he could, after that, put his head up and act again. And for the next 2005 till the day he died, he suffered, he endured every day so they can be healthy to look after you. What else that? Every morning, can't walk, can't talk, but he exercised, get his blood circulation to live. Why? For the struggle, for Malaysia, for you. He did it. That is the man that Karpal was. 2005 to 2014, suffered every morning, endure. Can you do that? Oh, okay, let's fight. Thank you very much.
Sir Dr. Chen, Sir Kit Siang, Sir Gobind, Sir Antilok, and comrades and friends. 各位同胞，大家晚上好。You know, Gobind, when I was chatting with you just now, I looked at your father's photo here. I say your father was not only great, he was born so handsome. I know you were very sad just now after viewing the video. I hope I can at least start with a smile from you. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been 2 weeks since the great statesman Karpal Singh, son of Ram Singh, left us. Yet many people are still feeling grieved and the sense of loss over his sudden passing. Poet Thomas Campbell said it well: to live in hearts we leave behind is not to die. Karpal Singh 同志的逝世，举国哀悼，证明他是一个真正的人民英雄。有位诗人说，刚才我讲英文是说 ，to live in hearts we leave behind is not to die。基本上是说，如果一个人永远活在人民的心中，他是没有死的。这证明Karpal Singh是永远会记在人民的心中。Great men leave behind good stories. Statesmen become legends. Karpal was a living legend, and he remains one. And legends are timeless. I thank DAP Negeri Sembilan State Chairman, Saudara Anthony Lok, for inviting me to speak here tonight. After all, I spoke about Karpal 2 days ago at the DAP Malacca Memorial Service for Karpal. Actually, I've excused myself from almost all public party activities since my retirement in 2004 because I want to truly retire. But this is one invitation that I have gladly accepted, as there are just so many interesting things one can share in memory of Saudara Karpal Singh. I spoke in Malacca and I told a joke that Karpal once cracked. But later when I went to the Facebook, I saw 2 comments. And the 2 comments basically said, does that mean that in the party Kit Siang decided everything? I think Karpal must be laughing from above. But of course I know why people make that kind of comments, because they read the Chinese paper report which did not carry my full speech. I was saying in 2001 that even though Kit Siang, myself, and Karpal shared the same view, held the same principle, that if the Islamic State issue was not resolved, then it would be untenable for the DAP to continue in the BA arrangement, the Barisan Alternative Arrangement then. So of course, we differed on timing, so it took us a lot of time, and Karpal and I were more, of course, gung-ho, so to speak. So when we couldn't get Kit Siang to agree with us as fast as we had wished, so we were quite frustrated sometimes. So one day Karpal came to joke with me and said, next time before the CC meeting starts, let's kidnap Kit Siang, tie him to a tree, and then we decide to pull out from VA. That was the context I was saying actually. But of course it's very interesting. When I became the Secretary General of the party in 1999, I retired in 2004. Lim Kit Siang, widely regarded as the best political brain in the party and I would say in the nation. Karpal Singh, a world-class lawyer. Kim Hock, how to work with the two giants in the party. So I would say, very challenging for me. And but if you know what I've gone through, I think you won't worry for me. Karpal Singh, very humble person. Even though I was, in terms of party position, I think you all know, the Secretary General is the highest rank. Although I was ranked. Karpal was the deputy chairman, Kit Siang chairman. Karpal was always so humble. He would give me the kind of respect a leader deserves. I give one example. Whenever he could not attend CEC meeting, he would personally call me up. And I tell you, that's Karpal Singh, so humble. And of course, Kit Siang, I don't have to tell you, he's always also so humble. Yeah? And I think you all know, great leaders all have strong views. Kit Siang, of course, has strong views. Karpal had very strong views. I'm not a great leader, but I think any leader would have strong views. That's accepted. As I said, then how would the three of us run the party? So in a memorial service for Karpal in Malacca 2 days ago, I already mentioned about this 2001 pulling out of DA and how we finally reached a consensus. I said in Malacca that to ensure unity among the top leadership, we would work as far as possible on the basis that there should be consensus among top leaders when decisions on major issues were required. But what happened when there was no consensus? Karpal, the strong man with strong views, did he ever become a dissident? If he became one, how did we resolve it? So I tell you a story. There was once an issue where the Central Working Committee discussed and achieved a consensus. It was a meeting where Dr. Chen Man-hin, the life advisor, and Karpal, the deputy national chairman, were not present. But Kit Siang thought it was an issue where the opinions of Dr. Chen Man-hin and Karpal must be sought. You see how sensitive Kit Siang is, even though they didn't come to the meeting. And he undertook the responsibility to explain the issue and decision to Dr. Chen and Karpal. And I tell you, the decision was never adopted because Karpal strongly objected. And because he alone objected, we respected his stand. So this is how DAP operated. Of course, I'm talking about my time. I am sure the same now. But so a lot of people outside don't understand. They will say so-and-so is dictator, so-and-so is how, it's just a subservient and so I can tell you this is all not true. That's why I say when I read the Facebook comments, I say, Karpal must be laughing from above. That this episode also showed not only Karpal would stand firm on something he strongly believed in, even when he was alone. It showed, too, the kind of respect Kit Siang had for him and his views. And Karpal knew that he was then the only one left objecting to that issue. But he never gave in, I can say for sure, until today. I don't wish to mention what issue, but I think Govin would know. 刚才我说行动党的操作方式，其实外面的很多是误解的，他们误解我们行动。几天前我在马来西亚说了一个故事，关于 Karpal Singh 怎样开玩笑。当时的情况是，他说有一天我们来去将机长绑在树上，让我们开会来讨论退出地震。 因为报章，华人报章，他不能够前面报道我的这个言论，所以有人在这个面子是说，哇，原来季祥的影响力这么大，所以我说，如果嘎巴看了他在上面也会偷偷笑了。事实上不是这样的，我们党内怎样操作，外人不了解。但是我给你一个例子，有一天我们的中央工作委员会针对一件事情大致有一个共识，但是季祥认为这个事件必须获得曾敏欣同志以及卡巴信的共识，当时他2年都没有出席，所以我说，你看我们的党，虽然我们已经做了决定，但是季祥知道这样的一个课题对卡巴信、对曾敏欣是非常重要，因为他们共同斗争这么久，他们知道他们的看法。结果季祥负责向曾敏欣同志以及卡巴信同志解释，最后我告诉你，到今天，我们这个政策基本上是没有改变过，因为卡巴信反对到底。但我讲的不是回教国课题啊，不是谈那个，有一个课题。但你看，这是证明了我们行动党的这些老同志、老前辈，他们怎样互相的尊敬。卡巴信也知道，他是剩下最后一个反对这个课题的，但是他还是继续反对。但是我们你看，党内大家都尊敬他，接受他的意见，所以以后啊，你没有听到人家说行动党某某人是独裁者，行动党是一言堂，千万不好相信，可以吗？今天我告诉你，就是一个真正的故事来的。Later, there was an issue which was hotly debated in a CC meeting. It was an issue, I must confess in all honesty, that it was the most difficult battle I had to do in the CC meeting. This was an issue where there was no consensus between me and Kit Siang. So ultimately, after what seemed to be one of the most tense CC meetings, I managed to obtain more vote of support with Dr. Chen speaking in favor of my proposal. Karpal was not present at the meeting later. When he met me at the next meeting, he uttered something to me in private, indicating he disagreed with the CC decision. How did Kit Siang and Karpal took my stubborn attitude in pushing through my proposal? When I spoke at Kit Siang's 70th birthday dinner organized by DAP's Langong in February 2011, I touched on this issue and I said how I admired Kit Siang, the gentleman, because even though he fiercely fought me on this major issue, which still remains in force in the DAP, he was so professional after the CC made its decision. And likewise, Karpal behaved the same way after indicating to me his obvious disagreement. So ladies and gentlemen, please give a round of applause to Kit Siang and of course Karpal. It's very professional. That is why the DAP can go on and on, because there's this genuine respect for each other in the DAP. 我想这一段我不讲华语了，因为时间的关系。It was indeed such great experience to work with the three most respected leaders of the party, Dr. Chen, Kit Siang, and Karpal, and to see the kind of genuine respect they have for each other. A few years ago, Karpal publicly said, "I've always said that a lawyer should die in a saddle. I think it equally applies to being a politician." In all honesty, ladies and gentlemen, I must say that I don't agree, this is my own view, with anyone in the party contesting in the general election or holding a party position when they're more than 70 years old, especially when the party now has a large pool of talent. I believe such elder leaders should play guiding and advising roles in the party. But I believe that when it comes to Karpal, exception must be made. This, to me, is not because Karpal has sacrificed immensely for the party. Many people too have sacrificed. Or because he was still much respected within and outside the party. Likewise, there are still many also who were very much respected within and outside the party, or that he could still win easily in the general election. There are many good seats. You put a good enough candidates, you can still win. But because, and this is my own personal criterion, which I want to say openly, but because he was still able to make effective contributions to the party, Karpal continued to add value and carry the party till his death. He did not stay on simply because he wanted to be there merely for as long as he could, but because he could still make effective contribution via his political positions. He was fully conscious of the impact that he could bring about, and he really worked hard till his sudden death. He never overstayed his welcome. And I say, real giants never overstay. Karpal was a real giant. 我记得不久前，Karpal Singh 曾经说过，一个 lawyer， 一个律师，应该是，如果我们讲将军打仗，应该死在沙场上。其实说没有讲退休的一天。那政治人物也是这样。我今天坦白说，我个人的意见是，我不同意。任何人在党内如果已经达到70岁年龄，继续的去竞选，出来竞选国州议席，或者党内担任高职，因为今天行动党有太多的人才，所以我认为这些前辈都应该扮演指导的角色。但是我要强调的，Karpal Singh 是可以，我们英文所说 exception 呢，它是特别可以例外的。为什么呢？因为这不是因为Karpal Singh付出了很多代价。我说在党内很多人也付出代价，也不是因为他获得广大人民尊敬，党内很多同志都获得很多人的尊敬，也并不是因为他出来打仗就是很容易的获得胜利，而是因为他每一天都在为党附加价值，为党加分。这才是我个人觉得，一个人要在行动党长久下去，你每一天要为行动党加分。所以Karpal Singh做到这一点。所以我说Karpal Singh80岁、90岁继续干吧。如果他没有做，他真的是太好了，Karpal Singh，他为行动党加了很多很多的分。In fact, after his death, he will still help carry the party, because he will continue to inspire many Malaysians to join in the crusade for justice, democracy, human rights, and a better Malaysia. I remember having read an article which says that David Heenan, author of Living on Top, Graceful Exits for Leaders, listed leaders under 4 categories: timeless wonders who have no need to quit, aging despots who refuse to give up, comeback kids who return to their former glory, and graceful exiters who depart at the right time. I will say tonight, ladies and gentlemen, Govind, Karpal was a timeless wonder. DAP is proud and fortunate to have a leader like him. We are also very fortunate to have Kik Siang, who is still continuing to add value and carry the party every day through tireless work and even punishing traveling into the interior of Sabah. So please, ladies and gentlemen, give them another round of applause. I honestly say, DAP is indeed a great party. We have got legends, Sarah Karpal Singh, we have got Sarah Kit Siang, and I say these two are timeless wonders. 有一些人我说是超越时空的，永不过时。行动党能够感到非常骄傲。我说有2个人是这样的，超越时空，永不过时。Karpal Singh跟林继祥。所以我说林继祥要继续斗争到80岁、90岁，大家都支持他好不好？但是很辛苦了，非常辛苦了。我不用讲，87年大逮捕的时候，他的家庭 流下了多少的泪水了，这是非常痛苦的。但是伟人就是这样伟大的人，永远将人民更大的利益放在前面，所以他们的伟大就是因为他们准备不顾一切付出的代价。Although Karpal is gone, he has left behind much greatness. Let's all be thankful for the greatness he has left behind. Let's all also thank his family for the great sacrifices that they had to make in sharing Karpal with us. 我想，我们的当然感谢Karpal Singh所留下来的伟大，我们应该同时向他们的家庭所付出的牺牲致以谢意。In Malacca, before I ended my speech in Malacca, I said that Gobind Singh is a chairman material. 我说Gobind将来他是一个我们行动党的一个人才了，有能力、有条件出任行动党全国主席。你们同意吗？ You agree or not? Gobind Singh is a chairman material. And I say I'm confident one day Gobind will become the new DAP's national chairman who will give immense pride to the party like his father did. 我说Gobind Singh 有一天会成为一个令行动党感到非常骄傲的新全国主席，像他爸爸一样，让我们党上下感到无比的骄傲，有了这样一个杰出的主席。But someone called me, and he said, "Sir, you are wrong." 哇 ，Gobind heading He said, "You are wrong. How can you say Gobind chairman material?" Oh, you know what he said? If you agree with what he said, please give a big round of applause now before. You listen carefully first. Because he said, I didn't say totally correct, he said. What I said wasn't totally correct. He said, Gobind is not only chairman material, Gobind is a Secretary General material. 他说，郭清富，你讲的不够正确。国宾不但是可以被委以中任出任全国主席的人选，他也是能够出任行动党秘书长的人选呐。你同意吗？同意，你要鼓掌嘛。我可以告诉这个人，当然，很多人在国宾的身上看到Karpal Singh那种不弃不饶、永不言见的那个优点，我100%同意。当然这个不是马上这个我们的华文有一句话讲假以时日，他肯定会成为行动党其中一个最重要的领袖。Of course, I'm not saying tomorrow, tomorrow Gobind Singh will become the chairman or the secretary general of the party. But I believe and I'm very confident, and I repeat, one day, Gobind, you will hold one of the highest positions in the party. Thank you very much.
Terima kasih saya ucapkan kepada saudara pengerusi majlis. Yang saya hormati Dr. Chen Man Hin yang baru meninggalkan upacara ini. Yang saya hormati saudara Lim Kit Siang, ahli parlimen Gelang Patah. Sahabat saya Saudara Anthony Lok, ramai yang berhormat yang semua ada malam ini. Minta maaf kalau tidak disebut nama satu persatu. Kepada semua pemimpin lain yang juga hadir dan memberi ucapan malam ini. Saya tak pasti sama ada special branch pun hadir. Tapi kalau hadir, memang jemputan untuk semua. Tak ada masalah. And if they are not here, there's no problem. We can always give them a copy of our video. This gentleman, I must first take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you for making time to be present with us, with me, tonight in memory of my father, Mr. Karpal Singh. We know him as a legend. Memang kita dengar sebutan-sebutan pelbagai pendirian, pandangan yang disebut oleh semua yang berucap sebelum daripada saya. Masing-masing mempunyai opinions of their own of these men. But I think what is most important is he was who he was because the people gave him the support. And the people gave him the opportunity to be the Karpal Singh that we know today. So a thank you to all of you for supporting us, supporting him. Saya dengar ucapan saudara ke Kim Hock tadi. And I think I better deal with that first, because I might forget. When I joined the DAP, my father looked at me but didn't say very much. It wasn't the case that immediately after becoming a member of the DAP, there was preference. Tidak. Sebenarnya sebalik. It was quite the reverse. To him, it was simple. If you want to succeed in something, you have to prove yourself. Jadi, memang kita dapat lihat, despite the fact that I joined the party in the 90s, it is only in 2008 that I stood in an election. Somehow or another I managed to win in Puchong. And of course in 2013, I won again with a slightly bigger majority. But I think that is what we need to make clear. In the DAP today, we have many leaders, many of whom are much, much more capable than me. We have Saudara Anthony Lok. I think one of those leaders who I am quite sure will make it very far in the party one day. We have others who have, of course, also shown that they are capable leaders. So, ladies and gentlemen, rest assured that the DAP is a party that is here to stay. Whatever it is you see today, the success of the party, without a doubt, I think we all know that we owe it mostly to Saudara Lim Kit Siang. Saudara Lim Kit Siang has been the central pillar of the DAP all this while. And Mr. Karpal Singh made it a point to remind everyone in the party that you must remember the senior leaders and you must treat them with great respect. To Mr. Karpal, it was quite simple. Philosophies were simple. Remember the elders, give them all the respect, and wait for your time. At the end of the day, they will guide you to where it is you are supposed to go. And it is on this note, again, and I do this at all memorials, I'd like to thank Mr. Lim Kit Siang for having guided all of us, the younger DAP leaders, to where we are in the party today. There is no doubt, ladies and gentlemen, I think when Saudara Kirk spoke earlier about his view that leaders should stop at 70, and he made an exception for Mr. Karpal, I'm sure that exception extended to Lim Kit Siang. Because whether Mr. Lim Kit Siang likes it or not, we are not going to let him go. He has no choice. In Parliament, if you were to be with us in a debate, it's not easy. Because Barisan Nasional, of course, they have many members of Parliament. Numbers, of course, more than us. So when there's an attack, normally they come at us like a sack of bricks, as they would say. Yeah, sometimes, you don't even know what they're saying. They just stand up and shout. You got people like Bong Mokhtar, even he doesn't know what he's saying half the time. Yeah. In 2008, I used to get upset and, provoked by what he says. But by 2010, I felt sorry for him. I said, whenever this man speaks, he doesn't know what's going on either. So, perhaps after the session, we could sit with him and talk to him. But this is the kind of politics that you have today. And this is the reason why, when we have senior leaders like Mr. Lim, we have senior leaders like Mr. Karpal, we can see how easy it is. They are able to stand their ground and to floor these people. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Karpal Singh was a great father. I'll tell you one thing about Mr. Karpal. You all think that he is a fierce man, strict and whatnot, because you read the papers and everybody says, Mr. Karpal, tiger, raw, lion. Let me tell you one thing. At home, he was one of us. He was always with the children. It was great fun. And we always used to get into trouble. And most of the time, he was also in the trouble because whatever it is we were doing, he would be part of it. And my mother would be looking for all of us. So this is Mr. Karpal for you. Yeah? A simple man comes back, looks for the children, and then he gets on with it. He was known for all sorts of things. Whenever it is he wanted to go to town to have a bowl of Hokkien mee, for example, he would use us. He said, the children want to go and have some food, so let's go. Towards the end, it was Kentucky Fried Chicken. There is something about DAP. Miss Fu is sitting here today. I can tell you, right? I'm sure Miss Fu, what's it with Kentucky Fried Chicken anyway? It's always there. In my house, Mr. Karpal's house, Mr. Karpal will go back. On the way home, he'll stop at my sister's house, pick up the children, and take the children to Kentucky Fried Chicken, buy the fried chicken and take it home. My mother would come back and say, why fried chicken again? Say, no, the children want to eat. The children have no idea that there's Kentucky Fried Chicken. But this is what happens. You go for CEC meetings, every single meeting, there's Kentucky Fried Chicken again. And this is Miss Fu's fault, Simple things as a father. In school, many people would have thought that Mr. Karpal was a person who would force us to study, a disciplinarian. But it was not that way. I think Mr. Karpal taught us that there were so many other things to do. Yes, studies were important, but there were other things to do. Of course, when I reached my teenage years, Mr. Karpal was detained under the ISA. Those times were difficult. Those times were difficult because we saw the true qualities of these men. Mr. Karpal, together with the late P. Pato, Guaneng, Kit Siang, and many others, detained. I was 15 at that time, 14, 15, and it was difficult because at that point of time, my elder brother had gone off to Australia to study. So whether I liked it or not, I had to take up the front role in the family, and that resulted in me getting to know the system a lot better. Ladies and gentlemen, when a person is detained under the ISA, many people don't realize the impact that detention has on the family. Jadi sebenarnya bila seorang itu ditahan di bawah akta yang zalim sebegini, memang betul yang ditahan itu diseksa, merana, kerana tidak ada dibicarakan. Tetapi juga kita kena prihatin, kena lihat kepada bagaimana keluarga orang itu diseksa. And this is the reason why we in the DAP always fought against the ISA, and I'm pleased that in the last session of the Dewan Rakyat in 2008 to 2013, one of the things that Mr. Karpal was actually able to see and be a part of was the repeal of that draconian act, the ISA. So I think all those efforts, all those years, the voicing out of concern about how it is people cannot be detained without trial, it bore fruit. Because at the end of the day, these are the same people who were detained who actually stood in Parliament and voted for that bill repealing the ISA, as a result of which today we do not have that kind of an act that actually threatens democracy in this country. So we have to understand. For people like them, it was different. Because at that point of time, if you said something, the consequences were grave. Sebut sikit, kena tindakan. Kerajaan tidak suka, tahan. Dr. Mahathir, you and I know this man. I don't know what to say. I mean, he's still there, you know. He's, I mean, not in that way. Like, he's still there making comments. I mean, yeah. Semalam saya baca, dia kata in Chinese are rich, and all Indians are lawyers and doctors. Saudara Guna, you got law degree? Ada, tak ada. Tak apa, can be arranged. Mahathir can, tak ada masalah. I became a lawyer because my father works hard. Because my father spent his whole life working so that he can send me overseas to study. Not because of UMNO, Barisan Nasional. Let us just remind Mahathir, get your facts right. Don't simply just shoot off your mouth without knowing what you're talking about. And most of you here, would agree. This country has gone to a point, and I said this earlier today as well. It's come to a point where we can expect a serious breakdown in racial relations. Look at Perkasa, look at Isma. We have Isma now. All sorts of funny names. But the fact is, kita ada puak-puak yang senang bangkitkan isu-isu yang sensitif. We are not looking at just a war against Barisan Nasional and UMNO. We are looking at a war in which the federal constitution is under attack. We are looking at a war in which people are allowed to stand up and say things which are clearly seditious, clearly offensive, but no action is taken because we have a weak prime minister, a prime minister who does not know how to control this country. Jadi persoalan yang timbul, kita sebagai rakyat yang tahu perjuangan Mr. Karpal, we as members of the public, we know how it is he fought. We know the pains that he went through. We know the sacrifices that he made. It was seldom that you hear that Mr. Karpal would give in to a fight. All that, and here we are today. Times which require even stronger attention from us. So I ask you, do we just stop because Mr. Karpal is no more here? Do we sit back and take all this? Or do we build ourselves up? Do we rise for him to fight and carry on in the spirit of Karpal Singh to make sure this country becomes a better place? What do we do? Towards the end of his life, what did the government do to him? What did the AG do to him? Wasn't it enough that he was ill after an accident? Tidakkah ianya cukup kepada Gani Patel mengambil tindakan? Why? Because the man defended the federal constitution. Negara ini bila kita sebut federal constitution, kita kena charge sedition. Yes. In court, they insisted for a custodial sentence. Maknanya mereka nak beliau dipenjarakan. Penjara. You want to imprison a man in that condition? Where is your conscience? This is the problem. But we are dealing with people like this. But Mr. Karpal stood firm. He did not back down. He told me, it doesn't matter if we lose. It doesn't matter if I am sent to jail. If that is what the judge wants, and that is what the judge thinks is right, then so be it, I will go through it. If that is what they want, let them see it. But he didn't back down. Memang tidak. He did not back down. After a strong fight, I am one of those very rare lawyers who are privileged Because Mr. Karpal was my lawyer. I think Anthony spoke about it earlier. But Anthony, silap sikit. Bukan 6 bulan, 1 tahun. Yeah, I was suspended for 1 year. Without salary some more. I always, you always look at it and you think, this is what they do. They want to instill fear in you. But what they don't know is that we in the DAP, we are not doing this for money. We are doing this because we believe in the fight. So they can suspend us, they can take our salary away, they can do whatever they want. We will come fighting back. And this is why it's important for us to remember the spirit of Mr. Karpal. He acted for me. I sued the speaker. Memang masa itu, at the High Court, he argued it in full. We won. The court said, suspension boleh. Right? So the parliament can suspend an MP, and the court cannot question that because it is something that happened in parliament. But salary, you cannot take away the salary of a member of parliament because that is something which is constitutionally guaranteed under our federal constitution. So we succeeded. It went to the Court of Appeal. Bila sampai Court of Appeal, I remember preparing with Mr. Karpal at 12 o'clock at night in his office. We knew the points and we knew that we had a good case, but you know what happens in court. So it was a situation where it was 50-50. So I asked Mr. Karpal, I said, so, boss, are you comfortable? You want to argue it tomorrow or do you want me to argue it? He said, no. Leave it to me. Let me argue this. And he went to court. He didn't even have to submit. Because it was the other side's appeal. The judges practically pounced on them and we won that appeal as well. 2 months ago, the appeal in the federal court came up. Again, Mr. Karpal ill. I remember because I went to his office again at about 11 at night. He was unwell. And he told me, he says, look, this point, very straightforward point, we just argue this point and we take it from there. We went to court the next day, we argued the case, and the decision of that case has been reserved. So as I said, the privilege of having Mr. Karpal represent me, the privilege of knowing that that was the last federal court battle, the civil case that Mr. Karpal did, which decision is still reserved. And the reverse of it, I'm also privileged because I was also his lawyer in the sedition trial. Ladies and gentlemen, what he went through, no words can describe. After the 2005 accident, he was in a very difficult way. Manyam knows. Manyam Nair has, together with me, wheeled Mr. Karpal around, held him, picked him up. Manyam knows. Krishna, you have seen it, Most of the people here who have actually, Anthony Lok, how many times, Guna, when he comes for charamas, we carry him onto stage. But that didn't make him any weaker. That made him stronger. And I think, ladies and gentlemen, we come back to why it is we are all here today. We come here to remind ourselves that we must remember how Mr. Karpal lived. We must remember what it is he fought for. In the Sikh temple in Titi Wangsa a few days ago, this person who was singing the religious hymns, Kirtan, he said to me, in translation of what it is he was singing, he says, what is important is your purpose in life. When you are here, it is a matter of time. And whether you like it or not, all of us here share the same faith. The question is, when your time comes, will you be able to look back and say that you have done everything that you wanted to do? You have achieved all of it which you set out to do. Now, if there's one man who can say, yes, this I have done, I tell you, it is Mr. Karpal Singh. Malam 17 bulan April. Malam itu malam yang sangat sedih untuk kita semua sebagai keluarga. 2 a.m. I receive a phone call. And you know, when the call comes at that tower, my wife received the phone call. My wife received the phone call. I was in hospital. And she, in a state of panic, she comes to the hospital, knocks on the door, comes in. And you know, when somebody comes in at that point of time and she's all teary and she doesn't know how to talk to you, you know something terrible has happened. Then she told me, and I was shocked, because just 2 or 3 hours before that, he came to the hospital to see me. As I speak to you now, I can still see him right in front of me, smiling in his wheelchair. We joked. He left. And you never know that that's the last time you're going to see him. Later on, when Thomas Su told me and confirmed that yes, Mr. Karpal had passed on, but Thomas Su also told me that my younger brother Ram Karpal had survived. He told me that Michael had also passed away. Ladies and gentlemen, we must also remember Michael. When Mr. Karpal's book was launched, he spoke. I'm not sure, I think Manyam, were you there? The book launch? No. Towards the end of his speech, actually he had finished his speech, he carried on and he said, I also like to thank Michael, who's actually here today. And he said, without you, Michael, I am nothing. This would reflect to you, ladies and gentlemen, how much it is that Michael did for Mr. Karpal. He was part of the family, and he was totally dedicated and loyal to Mr. Karpal. In fact, I don't think anyone could have done what Michael did for Mr. Karpal in the last 4 or 5 years working with us. And this is the reason why we are very, very saddened by his death, and our condolences also go out to his family. So after you get the news, go to the hospital, you see the body, go back to Ipoh, go back to Penang. You have seen excerpts from the videos. Thousands of people turn up to pay tribute, to salute a man who most of them had not personally met, but had read of, a man who inspired them all their lives. We could not believe the amount of people, the numbers that showed up. The queue that you saw outside of the house, it was a queue that extended maybe 2 kilometers away. Despite the rain, people still stood and walked and came in. Throngs of people. The crowd that we saw at Dewan Sri Penang, I just don't know how to describe it. I do not think that Penang has seen a funeral as great as this. But ultimately, that was the greatest tribute to Mr. Karpal, the grand send-off that the people of Malaysia, the people of Penang gave him when he passed away. And for that, I thank you and I thank all Malaysians who came to make that event a success. Ladies and gentlemen, coming back to why it is we are here. In memory of Mr. Karpal. He was here with us in 2008, after having fought this battle for years. In 2008, menang Pakatan Rakyat. Good. Took over states and so forth. 2013, focus on federal government. Tak menang. Tak menang kerana gerrymandering. Yeah? But we know we got 51 to 52% of the votes. And it's just a matter of time that we will win. My regret, ladies and gentlemen, is that Mr. Karpal won't be here with us to see that day where we can change this government in Putrajaya. That is my regret. But this is the reason why all of us here must make sure that we must get together, we must keep the fire burning, we must make sure we remember his spirit, and we must all move towards the target to make sure that we succeed and finish off the fight that he began. So in GE14 2018, are you all prepared? Are you prepared to fight that fight which Mr. Karpal started? Are you prepared to fight it for him? Are you prepared to fight it together with Lim Kit Siang? This is the reason why, ladies and gentlemen, and I end here by saying to you this. If there are people out there who come up to you and say that Mr. Karpal is no more, you tell them, jangan main-main. The tiger lives on. Thank you very much.
Saudara Gobin, Saudara Anthony Loh, Saudara Kim Hock, YB yang kita ada, semua parti, DAP, PAS dan PKR, dan distinguished guests and fellow Malaysians. 亲爱的朋友的马来西亚同胞，大家晚间好。Actually, earlier we attended another memorial with the Puchong as well, and that memorial by the Lasalians and the Saverians and the friends of Karpal. It was the speakers included Dr. Goh Cheng Teck, former deputy minister, and one of the most brilliant legal minds in the country, the former Court of Appeal judge, the Dato Sri Mahadev Shankar. And what Shankar said about Karpal, 3 things I think I'd like to share with you. 早些今天我们本来还有一个追思会在 BJ， 有吴清德博士组织的这些拉萨跟 Xavier 学校 Lasalians and Saverians， 因为Karpal是很 Xavier 的学生来的，所以他们在吉隆坡有一个追思会，不只是有一位吴清德讲话，也有一位马来西亚很出名的法律界的人士，以前是高等法庭的这个上诉院的法官Mahadev Shankar， 他谈到Karpal，我要接着跟大家来共赏。Firstly, Shankar said that Karpal is the best lawyer in Malaysia. 第一，Shankar说Karpal 是马来西亚最好的律师，最优秀的律师。Shankar 他本身也是法律界也是很出名的，他能够说Karpal是第一号的第一等的律师，这个是顶呱呱的了。第二，他说 ，Secondly, he said that when the judges hear that the case will be argued by Karpal, there's a lift. The judges became excited because they knew that they're going to hear a good legal argument. It won't be like those riff and raff. It will be a good, well-argued, well-reasoned, and a brilliant presentation. So the judges also excited. It's not easy to get the judges excited. 第二就是他说，当法官、上诉院特别是他们听到他的案件是Karpal的关系，Karpal会来辩论，他们都觉得非常的兴奋，因为他们知道Karpal一定非常的精彩的，非常有理智的，非常很好的会来 有这个历史的辩论，不像有一些的的历史是6777788的不是没有水准的。So that is a great tribute by a great judge to a great lawyer. And third, Shankar said that when after Karpal had his accident 2005, he went to court and he's a member of the Royal Commission of Inquiry into the Lincoln tapes, RCI. That when Karpal went to court in his wheelchair, when he argued, the force, the power, the fluency, the eloquence of his argument will be such that everybody forgets that he's in a wheelchair. Everybody forgets he's in a wheelchair because everybody will be overwhelmed by the power, by the eloquence, by the brilliance of his arguments. 2005年过后，他在有意外轮椅，他去法庭要去案件，还是在高等法庭，他这个上课还是这个皇家调查委员会 Lincoln 录影带的皇家调查委员会，记得吗？那 Lincoln 录影带looks like me what sounds like me but it's not me looks like me sounds like me but it's not me, the great famous Lincoln tape. 他说他虽然是坐轮椅，在法庭他争论的时候，他 argue 的时候，他的那种的叫做好，能够这样强的，这样有影响力的，你甚至忘记了他是坐轮椅的，你忘记了，所以这个是一个法官对他多么的一个最高的敬意。So that is Karpal Singh, a great lawyer in Malaysia， 伟大的一个法的历史在马来西亚。But he's not only a great lawyer, he's also a great political leader. 他不只是一个伟大的一个历史，他也是一个伟大的一个政治领袖，对不对？15天了，我们还感觉的伤心，我们还感觉那么爱。因为我们失去了一个伟大的一个斗士。15 days already, and the people still grieve the loss of Karpal. Not only countrywide, just now, the Sembilan and the Lasalians, you can see teary-eyed. Tonight, the same thing everywhere. Tomorrow in Selangor, on Monday in Penang. The people are still in grief because they know they have lost a great soul, a great leader. 我们只失去了一个伟大的领袖，一个伟大的能够为人民争取的一个斗士。There is no doubt that Malaysia will have been very much poorer if not for Karpal Singh. For 4 decades. In public life, in law, and in politics, 来争取 for justice, for democracy, for the rule of law, for good governance, for accountability, for integrity， 这些都是我们大家都争取的。他的梦也是我们的梦，对不对？这是我们共同的马来西亚人的梦，对吗？所以我们需要，我们伤心。我们悲哀，但是最重要的，我们要能够记得，我们要完成他的梦，我们的梦。好像最近，假使还有跟我们在一起的话，我相信他也站在最前线，关于马航370的这个灾难的整个非常要不得的警方当局的处理。If Karpal is still around with us, I'm sure he'll be in the very forefront. To hear the lions roar at the disastrous manner in which the government is handling the MH370 disaster. Correct? In the very forefront, so many questions. Yesterday, for the first time, after 55 days, Hishamuddin released a so-called preliminary report of the government on what happened to MH370. How on May the 8th, It just vanished into the air. After 54, now full 8 weeks, without wreckage, without any clue as to where is the Boeing 777. It could be South Indian Ocean. It could be South China Sea. Now there are a lot of different versions. South China Sea, or it could be in Andaman Sea. It could be Straits of Malacca, North-South corridor, and then the Indian Ocean. So I don't know. That's basic fundamental questions. And today, what did Hishamuddin said? The focus should not be on the mistakes of the past. The focus should be on to look for the aircraft. Do you agree? Do you agree? And Hishamuddin got the Australian Houston to see it as well. I'm sure if Karpal is around, he'll be in the very forefront in order to expose such chicanery and such charlatanism, such hypocrisy and such disservice to the people. But so you have to fight on. 我们需要继续的来奋斗。所以我们要记得，最重要的是来确保Karpal大家跟我们在一起所争取的，能够在来届大选能够实现。在最近几个礼拜是非常难过的日子了，不只是Karpal的去世，昨天又有一位会员去世。我们安顺的国会议员，而且在这几个礼拜来，我们有一位前事务的国会议员不省人事。他在新加坡贸易医院，我有看他3次。他现在回去事务，大家都祈祷，希望他能够奇迹出现。虽然这些是非常心痛的事件，我感觉到好像心在流血，但是我们在行动党里面，我们集合在一起，就是为了个人民国家的一个重大的一个改变，来争取使马来西亚一个更加美好、公平、合理的一个马来西亚，对不对？所以虽然我们有这些的伤心的事件，但是我们不管这样子，不能够让这些伤心的事件来使我们转移我们的应该继续奋斗的目标，因为我们最重要就是不管是Karpal Singh也好，谢阳平也好，或是跟我们官兵作战的同志们，我们要记得最重要就是来实现人民的愿望。我们要在马来西亚来确保他们一生来所争取的能够实现，要一个公平合理的一个马来西亚人的马来西亚。So finally, I just want to say that this few weeks had not been easy weeks with the loss of Karpal. Yesterday we lost another MP, the MP for Tarikh, Sia Leong Ping. His funeral will be tomorrow. And we have our former MP for Cebu, who is the Assemblyman for Bukit Asih, going through also a very difficult period. For 2 months, he has been in a coma. I saw him in the Maui hospital three times. He's now gone back to Cebu. We're all praying for his recovery. He had a tumor in the brain. But whatever our our upsets, whatever our pains and suffering, we must never lose sight of our common political objective for which we have come together. Karpal, Xia Leongping, He Lian, and you and me, all of us, we have come together for a cause. We have come together for a mission in order to ensure that Malaysia become a better, a more just, more equal, democratic Malaysia. That we must continue to be our target, and we must not allow our energies to be in any way to be deflected. So I think that's the best way to remember Karpal, to remember Xia and everyone, that we continue in solid, firm commitment like Karpal. Karpal, an ordinary man, but with an extraordinary commitment to these ideals for justice, for freedom, for Malaysia. So let us all be an example. We are all ordinary people. You and I, we are ordinary people, but we can be extraordinary. 对不对？我们都是普通人，但是我们可以做伟大的事业，来共同来创造一个公平合理的马来西亚。谢谢各位。